Welcome back to Thinking That Matters, and I am thrilled to welcome Lidiya into the studio for just an amazing interview where we're going to get to delve into what she believes is important about our thinking. So Lidiya, tell them about who you are, what you do, and that way we can dive in.
So my name is Lidiya. I'm owner of a house cleaning company in Collin County, but we do service the Grayson and Collin County. The company's name is Maid in Texas, and we basically help our residents to keep their houses clean without them spending time cleaning it and being actually freeing time for them to spend it with their families.
Okay, so in full transparency, one of the reasons why we know each other is that we use Maid in Texas for taking care of our own home, and I am so grateful.
Thank you. I'm grateful for you too.
I am so grateful. Oh man, it is super helpful to have someone else.
It is
clean your home.
It is. That way you have time for doing this.
Yes, exactly. Things just like this, or time to make dinner, or right where it's allowing you to allocate your time in different ways.
Correct.
Right. So, which man, that might be part of our conversation as well, because sometimes we need to think differently about things like hiring a maid service.
How much value of your time is for the family time versus the money.
Yeah, I love it. Well, let's come back to that. Okay, so clearly you can hear this amazing accent of my friend Lidiya. And so tell us about where you're from and how you got to America.
Oh, it's been a journey. I cannot believe it's been so long, but I just celebrated 23 years in the United States.
Wow.
Yes, I moved in here in 2001, stepped on the American land on February 10th in 2001. I remember that so well in LAX. And it's been a very, very good journey. I came from Russia. So my family is still basically, everybody's still there. But luckily we can visit. Maybe not now, but we can visit each other. And I just love it in here. So, but it's been 23 years since I came here.
Wow. Now you stepped on American soil knowing zero English.
I could understand a little bit, but okay. I definitely did not speak. It was a little challenging, but I figured if I'm here, I made a step. I enrolled in English second language school within first week, and I was going 4 times a week.
Wow.
For several hours. I was going to learn the language, and it was a very good, amazing experience. I really loved it. And I've known English well enough to get my first job in 6 months after I came here.
That's awesome. And as you were learning the language, what was most challenging about, learning a completely different language?
Understanding the rules. Sometimes, my teacher he knew I always ask questions. If I don't understand something, why it's spelled this different, and English is almost like Russian is almost like a Hawaiian language. You can actually read without understanding what you read, because every single letter pronounced the way it is. English is completely different.
Ah.
My cultural shock when I saw the spelling of word enough, I was like, really? This is how do you spell it? That was every time I would open my mouth to ask the question, teacher was like, English is crazy. That was his answer, because he didn't have an answers for me.
That's right.
Yes.
English is crazy. But as soon as you said the biggest challenge was understanding the rules, I literally thought, do those of us who are English speaking actually fully understand the rules?
Probably not.
My husband has an English degree. And so we have some of the best conversations around the rules of grammar and English and spelling words and sounds. And so I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You're saying, is it that in Russia, every single letter, is it that it's enunciated?
It's enunciated majority of the time. We have only 2 silent letters, which is the way you pronounce the vowel. But other than that, you enunciate every single letter. So you can read if you know alphabet without knowing what you're reading.
Got it. So, but in America, there are so many
No
silent
way.
and changes.
No
and
way.
It can be spelled the same way, but said differently.
Correct.
I mean, there are so
Yes.
many crazy. Okay, so that really was a challenge. So, I mean, obviously, being one of the first challenges that you faced here in in a new country, how did you think your way through that?
You just learn. You just have to figure out if you have to understand. It takes time in content. It takes time for you to understand how to pronounce the letters. I'm after 23 years, my accent is not going anywhere, and I'm still slipping into this dip and deep. And I'm like, oh yeah, right, I didn't say it correctly. And I understand it's completely different letter because we don't really have that in Russian language. Yes.
Wow. But I do appreciate that you just keep going forward.
Yes,
right?
you have to. Yeah. You have to. And sometimes I'm actually catching myself right now that somebody asked me the other day, do you dream in Russian or English? I was like, I have no idea.
Do you dream in Russian or English?
I have no idea. When I wake up, I see the dream, but I have no idea what language I dream in.
That's interesting. I mean, I suppose maybe you could think about are the people speaking Russian or speaking English?
Right. Like in your dream, what language was it? I was like, I don't know.
Interesting. But I can imagine though you're in and out of them because your brain.
Yes.
So I'm just curious, when you're conversing with someone, is your brain also thinking Russian, or has your brain got to that space where when you're speaking with an English speaker,
I speak English.
You're thinking English.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
And I'm a big person on making a correct words. I would not mix those two languages. It just annoys me.
All right, got it.
I don't mix languages.
You don't mix. Mm-hmm. Okay. So
especially when I speak Russian, and it's easier sometimes to plug in English word because it is a one word instead of the sentence to describe something. I still will use the sentence because I will not mix the languages.
Okay, got it. Oh, that's good to know. So tell our audience, as you grew up, did a lot of growing up in Russia, you moved to America, you've been here 23 years. At this stage of your life, what are you most passionate about?
Oh, well, I'm passionate. It's a lot of passion. To me, it's all about balance. That's my passion. Because I cannot only do work. And I cannot always do nothing or just a family or being I actually really cannot picture myself to be a housewife or just stay-at-home mom. I do work from home, my office is at home, but still I work. So in that case you have to have a self-discipline, and sometimes just in order to me, my passion is to create a life, because American dream exists. It does really exist. When I came to the United States, and this is what made me to think after a while that I can open my own business, because American dream exists. It's really up to you the way you want to go. It's really up to you what you want to do. You can have 9-to-5 job, and which is a lot of people love it because they turn off their brain at 5 o'clock. They're done until Monday 9 or 8 o'clock. And absolutely, it's totally good. But some people, they want something more or they want something less. A lot of people think being an entrepreneur is, you're going to go on a vacation every single month. Yeah, right.
Until they're an entrepreneur.
Exactly. It's not.
You recognize that is not the case.
No, that's not the case because you do work.
That's right.
Yes.
No, but I appreciate that. So you said something that really caught my attention. The American dream does exist. At what point did that thinking really take hold in your mind?
I knew that because I've heard about it before I came here. Because you have to understand one thing. For a lot of people outside of the United States, outside of the borders, the United States, it's like this, not holy land, this land where things can happen. But people come here with the different intentions. Like when I'm trying to say, American dream exists and it can be the way you build it. If you depend on yourself, the system may help you to build it. If you depend on something else, you may be disappointed. That's what I'm trying to say. You have to work it.
So
it's not going to just, you come and you're going to have the money tree in the backyard. It's not going to happen. You have
It's
to plant
true.
that tree.
Well, when you look at history, the work ethic of immigrants who came to the United States looking to create a better life.
Yes.
I mean, really, the foundation of our very country was people who came here looking to create a better life.
Yes.
And the amount of work and time and energy they put into it, right? I mean, that's so I love that. I love that thought process. So you mentioned it was part of what led you to open your own business.
Correct.
So what fears, if any, rose to the surface when you said, I'm creating a cleaning business?
It was not a fear of creating a business, can I do it or cannot. It was actually fear to be stuck in where I was in that moment. Because I was working in the bank, and I was working in a bank, and then I was working in a payroll company. And first year was a lot of fun because every time you complete the new step, you get the raise, you get the new level, and then when I had after second year, I had my interview, and the employer told me that we're giving you 3.5% raise. And I'm like, that is it. And next year will be another 3.5. And there was a fear of being stuck in the same place. And I'm like, I need to do something else.
Hearing you say that makes me think about a statement that I use often with my clients, which is, until the fear of staying the same is greater than the fear of change,
that was exactly
we will be stuck.
That was exactly motivation for me. It was exactly, and luckily my husband, in that time he was working in corporate America, traveling a lot as well, which I didn't really like. And he was like, you need to think about it. He actually was telling me for probably a year and a half before I decided, you know what? And that interview was indicator, like 3.5% raise was indicators, like, you know what? I'm ready. I am ready. We start doing research. We start putting pieces together. And months later, I gave my 2-week notice, and
here you are.
Here I am.
Wow. So you started the business in 2006.
Correct.
How did you come up with the name?
Well, the name was different because this type of a business, it was in California. We still don't have a California company. The company in Texas exists for 7 years. It's very close to 7 years. But I've been in this business
since 2006.
2006, correct.
So how did you come up with your Texas business name?
Texas business name, it was interesting. It's like,
tell them the name of the
Made
business.
in Texas, yes. Made in Texas, and the logo, I actually brainstormed it with the lady I've known for a long time, their marketing lady. And we were thinking about Made in America, and that's where we came up with Made in Texas, playing the words and stuff. But my favorite part is the tagline, no messes in Texas. We make sure there's no messes in Texas because we were working around that everything is big in Texas.
That's
everything
right.
is like, this is my tagline. Made in Texas, make sure there's no messes in Texas.
Which I love that. I remember the first time you came to networking and you delivered that. I was like, that's clever. Very clever.
You know what? You have 30 seconds to deliver the line, and I can tell you it works because people sometimes come to me, they probably would not remember my name. but they would come like, no messes in Texas, right? That's exactly right.
Which is what you want.
This is exactly
that
what
is
you want.
That is really what you want. So you started your cleaning company. What have you found? And you might want to speak to maybe early days of the company, or you may say just as an overall whole of owning your own company. What have been your biggest struggles?
Probably like a lot of service companies that would be having quality workers. You know, it's a process to find somebody who is, to me, it's not necessarily the skills they're supposed to have because you can have developed the skills. To me, it's the personality of the person, like personality and attitude and a willingness to be learning.
Okay.
And attention to details, communication skills, and work ethics. And work ethics is number one. If I always say, and it's one of my favorite sayings, life happens to some people more than others. and it's a big proof. Somebody has some kind of problem, they have to be late to work or not to come to work because something happens to them. And some people have those events way more often than others. And I call it life happening, which is not necessarily the good comment, because people with the good work ethics, they work around it.
We like to say in the coaching world, find a way, not an excuse.
Yes.
So is it fair to say that when you say life happens to some more than others, it's maybe that when life happens, some are more likely to find to use that as an excuse?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Than others.
Yeah, instead of saying an excuse, being a little bit like, I know you're lying to me. Not lying, but you're trying to find an excuse. I'm saying life happens to whatever. But you're absolutely right. This is exactly find a way instead of an excuse.
Yeah, that big, it's just an important mindset to bring, well, first of all, to business ownership, right? Because,
Yes.
I mean, I'm sorry, has some life happened to you, Lidiya?
Oh, yes. It's happening every day.
It is happening every day. And I will tell you that one of the big ways that I observed you living out this find a way, not an excuse, when life happens, is when you had the tragedy in your home.
Yes.
So tell us about what happened.
We had a fire in our house 2 years ago, and yes, we were out of house for a year. It was it was scary. We're lucky to be alive. We're lucky nobody got hurt. All our animals were out. No valuables.
That's amazing.
It's amazing. We didn't lose any valuables. We didn't lose any work-related stuff. We didn't lose passports or money or anything like that. So it was really, we were very, very fortunate in this case. I mean, things happen. I understand things happen, but we were fortunate. But life must go on, and same as like show must go on. We recoup over the weekend, and we start the business on Monday as usual.
But you had to find a place to rent?
Yes. We stayed in a hotel for 3 weeks. So I set up the whole office in a hotel, and we worked. I didn't have any office help in that time. It was just me and my husband. We were running it together while we were trying to figure out what's going to happen next with our house.
And just to speak to that personally, I mean, you were already cleaning. One of your service people were already cleaning our home at that point. And I mean, there was no disruption of service. Unless I knew about it as a result of Facebook posting,
right.
I would have never known that anything was going on in your life.
Yes.
So again, an example of you living that out and what you look for in the people that you hire.
Exactly, because for me, the customers like yourself and all others, they have their reasons of having a house cleaning service. It's busy families. The lives are busy. We have families who have kids and they're busy with their sports and events and they don't have time for it. And I understand they will be sorry for me for what happened, but they need their life go smoothly. And this is where we step in to make sure their life is not get disrupted because mine did.
Okay, it's a great way of thinking about it. And then, that's an example. Find a way, not an excuse. The other, I know we were chatting before about limiting beliefs, right? When we're business owners, and I've been a business owner with my husband for the last 24 years, and so we've just been doing this a long time, just like you. When you think about limiting beliefs, things that would limit what you can do, or or how you see yourself, I would love for you to share your perspective on that. And even when I had asked you the question, how you responded to me initially, which I think there's something very powerful about the fact. So go ahead. I want you to share about that.
I don't know about limiting beliefs, because I'm a type of a person who believes if some other person can do it, I can do it. So I can learn the language. It's limiting actions. That's what it is, in my opinion. It's to putting things away or saying, okay, I can do it later. This is limiting yourself about getting to a certain point in a certain period of time. Because you can take You can do it, but you can do it in a year or you can do it in 6 months. It's really up to you.
Well, it's so true. I mean, actually, so there's a couple of things you can do it in a year, you can do it in 6 months. I love that you say it that way, because oftentimes when I'm sharing coaching with someone, I will talk about that if you're willing to put your mind to it, let's say you could do it in a year. Yes. Coaching could help you do it in 6 months.
Very possible. Right? Yes, because it keeps you accountable.
The accountability, the outside perspective. In the same way, I could clean my own home.
Yes.
It's going to take me a lot longer to do than when Sherry comes in and does it in such a much shorter amount of time.
Yes. And plus it opens up those, Sherry does it, let's say in 3 hours, and it will take you 5. You could have spent that 5 hours on something else.
And I do spend that 5 hours
exactly.
on something else.
Exactly. You can do it at work, or you can do it what gives you like pleasure, to go, whatever it is.
To have fun.
Family time.
Yes.
Fun, work, whatever you want to use that hours for. And that is very true. Sometimes making a priorities, what's more important is that's what matters.
Yeah.
And it's a thinking.
It is about thinking.
It's about thinking.
Priorities they result out of how we think about something. And so I appreciate you saying that. Now, you mentioned that for you, it's less of the belief that you're limited in some way and more that you limit yourself, say, based on behavior, right?
Correct.
So what are the ways, because one of the things that I was sharing when we were having the pre-conversation was that limiting behavior comes out of how we think. So that tells me a lot about you. Like you have a good thought process, right? Because you're already at it's really more my behavior that's limiting me. What have you done over the years as a business owner to address and overcome behavior that you recognize isn't serving you?
Well, the thing is, the problem for me with the procrastination is number one. Only because when I said you can do it in a year or you can do it in a 6 month, what I meant, if you have a project to work on, right, and you procrastinate, I don't feel like today, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and you done in a year, and you start, because of the results of your projects, whatever you've done, you start making more money. And then you think, oh my God, if I've done it in 6 months, I would be making this money 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And it's like a snowball. Your end result is going to end up being maybe the same, but it's 10 years down the road rather than 5 years down the road, rather than today.
Yeah.
So because you didn't put enough effort, and I'm still guilty of it. Sometimes I can see like it's a good weather outside and stuff. I was like, I have my office manager in there, but I am trying to draw myself back and make sure I work on the projects. And it's a very important thing for business owners. People have to understand. When you work in the business, you have certain results, but they will be just your regular daily results rather than when you work on the business.
So give an example of where you can get caught working in the business.
In my business, it would be if I don't have an office manager and my daily routine starts at 8 o'clock in the morning when all the ladies up and going. And when one of them is calling, they had a flat tire. Customer is calling, they forgot to leave the key. The dog is barking, the dog don't put it. It takes me 2 hours, for example, to deal with this everyday stuff. To figure out, okay, everybody in place where they're supposed to be, but it's already 10 o'clock in the morning. Now I can work on something, which could be creating new advertising, marketing the business, or even working with my scheduling program, updating certain events, updating certain the way the customer gets notified to make it smoother process. Yeah. This is for me, that's what making in the business, which is the everyday stuff versus on the business.
Well, and I think that speaks to the value of delegating, right? When we find ourselves stuck in the business, we need to figure out how to delegate that to someone else.
Correct.
And really, the service that you provide on the cleaning side, when I talk to clients, I'm like, hiring a cleaning service is a delegation technique.
That is
You are
correct.
delegating something from your personal life that someone else can do so much faster and really at a fraction of the cost of the value of your time.
That is very true, because cleaning service is one of those services when people think I can do it.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have a skill. It's not like you're a plumber or electrician that you have no idea what's going on over there,
Right,
you know,
right.
or what's going on in under your sink. Cleaning, it's people think, yes, I can do it. Because, I mean, I grew up cleaning my room.
Right.
I clean my
Me too.
here and there and everything like that. So people think they can do it. But it's all about the time. That's all about the time.
It is. And so the value of time, it's recognizing the value of time. So to take what you were saying, when we get stuck in the business, it would be, when we think about how much we're worth as a business owner,
Right.
it's like, would we be willing to pay someone that amount of money
Yes.
to do that, right? So it really is understanding the value of our time and then delegating
This is
appropriately.
exactly what it is. Yes.
I love that. So here you are, 7 years here in Texas, and you are making sure there are no messes in Texas.
That's
I just
correct.
love that.
Yes.
I love that tagline. I would love for you to share, as we begin to close out, like why you believe it is important to cultivate thinking that matters.
Well, thinking is one of those necessities, because a lot of people don't think sometimes, or it's one of those necessities that make sure you have good future. That's where the thinking comes for me, because as I was saying earlier, if you don't think about the future, as I gave an example, you don't invest money, so you go and spend money. You don't invest money for your future. You don't put money away for the college for your kids. You do not think about how comfortably you're going to live when you are 20 years down the road. To me, it's a cultivating thinking, because if a lot of people do work today, and to me, it's all about the balance. You have to live today. You have to enjoy the moment. You need to put away your cell phone, turn off your internet, and just enjoy the moment. Spend the time by yourself. It can be just me time. You can spend your time with your pets. Go for a walk and actually talk to your pet while you're doing it, instead of talking on the phone to somebody, or enjoy the birds. But in the same time, you need to make sure you're able to think into the future. And that's what
I love
it
it. You said a phrase before we started recording, that cultivating thinking allows you to program your future.
That is yes. It allows you to program your future. Yes.
I love that phrase because when we are cultivating thinking that matters, we are building neural pathways in our brain that allow us to indicate, to use your examples, to plan for the future, to invest, to save for college, to be able to take the vacation. And because we've done that, we can also, though, live in the moment.
That is correct.
In a healthy way.
Yes.
Right? Not to the neglect of the future, but in a healthy way.
Because as I said, the thinking, programming the future, what I meant by when you think, thinking actually makes you to behave certain way. It's like creating habits.
Yes.
That's what thinking is. It's creating habits. When you got a habit of waking up in the morning and go for a walk, you miss it if you don't do it for a while.
So true.
If you got a habit of drinking a smoothie every single morning and you don't do it, like you are out on vacation, you have no way to do the smoothie, you go,
You're
oh
like,
my God, I
"Where's
miss
my smoothie?"
it. Exactly. Same thing, if you got a habit of setting aside money for the future, or if you have a habit of, okay, I'm going to work on my business this day from 12 to 10, like nothing disturbs me.
Right.
This is the creating the habits, and those habits actually going to stick with you for the future, and your life is going to be programmed by that.
I love it. It has been such a joy. I so respect you and appreciate you.
Thank you.
Grateful that you would come and share just some of your experience and your wisdom, because ultimately, exactly what you said, when we cultivate thinking that matters, we are able to program our future. And in the process of programming our future, developing the habits, it allows us to live a life that matters.